here we are at Pintler Group headquarters. We're live with Cassie and Kyle, and today we're talking about trade shows. Yeah. It's an interesting traction channel. We were talking a little bit before the mics were hot about just that we were a little bit surprised that it still is a traction channel, but then I think talking through it, we're like, well, for some businesses, it makes a lot of sense to attend trade shows. So, Cassie, why don't you kind of kick it off and talk about, just so folks know, like, what exactly is a trade show?
Well, if you've ever, gotten married and went to a big auditorium with hundreds of wedding booths, or maybe not hundreds if you're in a small town like us.
Or maybe thousands if you're in a big town.
There you go, thousands. And you're kind of able to shop different vendors, all based around the same topic or the same type of material that they're selling. Other examples could be we went to a marketing conference that had a trade show kind of with it, with various marketing technology companies that were, sharing their services and talking about what they do. Another example might be if you own a restaurant, you go to a trade show to decide, whose beef you want to buy and also which plastic forks work the best for you. So, it's a big group of people that are all looking to either make a purchase or an investment of some sort, all around the same topic.
It's really like a three-pronged approach in my mind, a trade show. You have the trade show business, which is a big business. Yeah. You host the trade show, you find the convention center, you find the venue, and you bring in vendors to help pay for this conference. Yeah. So then there's the vendor. That's kind of the second prong. These are businesses that want to reach people at the conference. So if you're, like you mentioned, a restaurant trade show, you're a fork vendor, that's your business. You're trying to figure out which traction channels should we test. A restaurant trade show might make a lot of sense. Right. And then the third prong is, of course, the attendees. So oftentimes this is an event or fee, a ticket to the trade show or to the conference. And I guess conferences would be in the trade show umbrella.
I think that a lot of trade shows or a lot of conferences have like trade show aspect. Yeah. But maybe not all, I guess.
Yeah, maybe not all. So let's maybe, because we're talking about events, I think, in the future traction channel. Yeah. But for the trade show itself, the attendees, sometimes there's a fee, sometimes there's not. But typically it's a similar group of people that are attending this trade show to find a product, a service, hopefully your product or service.
Right. If you're bringing your product or service to the trade show.
Yeah. So when we're talking marketing, Pintler Group is primarily involved in digital marketing, of course. But there are a lot of cases where trade shows make sense for businesses to test. Yep. We've talked a little bit about the bullseye method before. We're going to look at our business and let's just come up with a business, Cassie. What business can we be working for? Can we be marketing for?
We're marketing for...
How about this microphone?
Yeah. They sell this microphone.
Yeah. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, that's exactly what I was going to say.
Okay, great. It's like right in front of our faces. It's sort of it just lends itself to the example.
Perfect.
So this microphone, and there are, right away, I can think of 50 trade shows that I might want to attend if I'm trying to market this microphone. But trade shows are expensive. I think when we look at traction channels and if we were to order them by costs, we talked about business development, picking up the phone and contacting people. Yeah. Doesn't cost anything other than time and maybe a cell phone bill. Right. And maybe some list generating to figure out who the heck you're going to call. Trade shows are a big expense. Oftentimes it involves travel costs. Then you got to look at like the conference hotel that they want people to stay at.
Well, and it can be thousands of dollars just to have a booth at something like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just and then to put up your sign.
Now you're talking with the the sign company down the street. Like, how much for a tablecloth? That'll be $17,000. Right. What about that tablecloth right there for my kitchen table? Oh, that's $4. Yeah. Well, what? Okay. And so there's this industry that is, it feels like it's frothing with money. Yeah. And here you are as a company, I'm just trying to pitch my microphones and you're telling me it's a $10,000 investment. Right. So you want to make sure it's worth it. And one of the things we're talking about today is if you're going to attend a trade show, how to get the most bang for your investment.
Yeah, you can leverage yourself being there.
Exactly. And this is true both for attendees and also vendors. Yeah. We had Sean, who people know from the podcast, from the videos. He's our digital marketing manager here. he attended MozCon, which is an SEO conference. I think it was about a year and a half ago. And one of their core values for the conference was, don't be human spam. Like, don't show up to the conference and be human spam.
Right.
What do you think that means?
Like, you don't want to be sharing your business with everyone that you shake hands with. Hey, check out my website.
You're not showing up there to be like, tell everybody about yourself, like a human display ad, a human pop-up. You want to provide some value. So if I'm the microphone company, perhaps I've done some research and I see who the other attendees that are going there, and maybe they've listened to our podcast,
right?
And like, oh, Cassie and Kyle are going to be there. That you still have this like background noise. Actually, we do have a fan running. Cassie, is that fan going right now?
Yeah,
let's turn it off. Like, they would probably be like, oh, that fan is on. And so we've got some background noise, and they'd be like, hey, our microphones can help reduce that background noise. That's providing us with some immediate value, instead of, I guess, but we could solve it ourselves by turning the fan off.
Right.
But that's providing some immediate value and input. The other thing we were talking about today was, before arrival, is geotargeting. Did you want to introduce folks to the concept of geotargeting? You want me to take it?
Sure. I'll give a brief one sentence.
Give it a shot.
So geotargeting is kind of the fancy term for using someone's location to serve them a specific type of advertising or certain information. Could even be, a notification on an app or something like that. Basically just using where someone's at to show them something you want them to see.
Yeah, it sounds futuristic.
Right.
But everybody is geotargeted every day. When you search pizza near me, like, Google is geotargeting you to say,
right,
hey, that pizza joint is down the street. It's a 2-minute bike ride. It's a 1-minute car ride. They're not serving you Albuquerque pizza.
Unless you're there, but
for our Albuquerque listeners.
I would say that, a lot of people get a little freaked out when they realize they're being geo-targeted or that their location's being watched. But overall, especially when marketing's done right, it's only to help you. It's to help the consumer cut through the noise of things that are irrelevant to them. Like, if every time you Googled pizza on Google and you got answers that were completely in a different place than you, then it wouldn't be a useful tool anymore. So instead of looking at it as, something creepy that's following you around, it's really there to help make sure that you can get the job done that you're trying to get done quicker.
Yeah, I think that's a great note. Not to fear it.
Yeah. Geotargeting,
when we talk about trade shows, oftentimes a company might say, okay, where are we going to be? If we're the microphone company, we're going to 10 conferences this year. A user lands on our homepage, coolmicrophones.com. I'm sure that URL is taken. They want to find out about us. They go to the About Us page, and then they say, where are we going to be? They click on that link, and then they click on the link that when we're going to be in Boston. So as I'm explaining that, users are probably tuning out, right? Like, this is a lot of steps. The other thing that geotargeting can help do, and the software that we provide here, is called GeoFly, and that will allow you to actually surface the content right on that homepage. Like, we're going to be in Boston. If you're in a 30-mile radius of Boston city limits or a 100-mile radius, you land on our site, you immediately know where the closest trade show that we're going to be to you. And that experience is elegant. It's relevant for you, and like you were saying, it makes your life simpler. You don't have to click 4 times to find out where we're at or where we're going to be. Other terms that you might hear are things like geofencing.
Right.
To me, geofencing is the actual act of drawing your geofence or deciding what areas you're going to target.
Right.
So for that example I just gave, when you're placing a radius of 30 miles around this epicenter of Boston, that is geofencing. It's more of a verb.
You're kind of putting people, you're saying that everyone that's in here or goes in and out of this area will see this specific information. Yeah. So if somebody asks us, do you guys do geofencing? I sort of pause and, well, yes, it's part of geotargeting. Right. I see a lot of different definitions, but that's how I've kind of digested the two. And then the third piece is IP targeting, which is sort of falls under that umbrella of geotargeting. It's a way that you can use location. At the end of the day, IP targeting or your IP address is attached to
a latitude and longitude, a location. There's software out there that can help you figure out exactly like where your IP address pings.
Yeah.
And so what marketers do is use IP address to help improve accuracy for either their advertising or their personalization on their existing site.
Yeah.
So when it comes to trade shows, things like targeting the conference center or the event center that the trade show is being held at is a powerful and impactful way to potentially reach customers that are at that trade show.
Yeah, and I think that is powerful because you know that people at the trade show are checking their Facebook when they go get a drink of water or, you know, walking down the lanes of in between the booths
or a dull conference presentation.
Right. Yeah. They're looking at Facebook, they're looking at Google, they're checking out websites that are relatable to what they're doing there. And so while people are in that zone, it's important to catch them with the information you want to show them. So instead of waiting till they get home to show them some more information, it can be really impactful to take advantage of them being in that headspace where they're already, you know, maybe thinking about what food product they want to buy. You can show them your options.
Yeah. And that's, you know, and that's specifically you're the vendor advertising to attendees. It could work also if you're an attendee and you have, you know, a product that you're there, that you're looking to grow and you're looking for advice or help, or if you're a podcast and we were to go to a conference and we're looking for guests, it's like, well, we're not a vendor, but maybe we serve some messages to folks that are interested in being guests. So it can work both ways with, you know, Facebook, Google, a lot of ways you can target. You know, the one thing about trade shows, it's such a big investment like we talked about.
Right.
You really do want to track the effectiveness. I'm sure a lot of people have spent a lot of time at trade shows traveling, and then at the end of the year they look at their next year's calendar and they say, okay, let's book all the same trade shows we did last year.
Right.
And to me, that's a big mistake. You want to, you know, constantly be iterating. We talk a lot about testing, about measurement, about what is good. To just sort of reboot and repeat the schedule and the same conferences without measuring, like, was the $10,000 we spent to send the team to Seattle, like, was that good?
Right.
Was that worth our time? And how do you measure that? And maybe it's more challenging than just measuring, like, what was our return on investment? We spent $10,000, we got $20,000 out. Right. But were the relationships that we built there valuable? You know, in a digital world, I think that piece is sometimes undervalued, is that relationship or that connection. You know, it might be 2 years down the road, but that's somebody that is really going to make a positive impact on our business, and we can, you know, it's like a win-win. Yeah,
exactly. I think it is a long-term metric to keep an eye on, which is difficult.
Yeah. But you're, you know, it's for a startup, you know, one of the things that we did at GeoFly very early, if we were looking to travel to, let's say, San Francisco. So we went to a conference in San Francisco the first year that GeoFly was in existence. And, you know, Airbnb, a shared room in like an apartment. And what we did was we actually pitched services. So we said, hey, we want to come to this conference and we're going to bring a camera and we're going to, you know, write an article about our experience at the conference. And if we do all of these things, can we get admission or like a ticket? Right. And the ticket was maybe $900. And they're like, yeah, you know, that sounds great. Like, do these things. And we did it and we sent it to them. And so we saved $900. The conference hotel would have been great to stay at, but it was 5 times what we ended up paying. Yeah. You know, we used some airline miles. So we ended up doing this conference for probably under $500. Didn't rent a car, you know, took public transportation. And that was the hustle that was required at that stage. So
what do you feel you got out of that conference?
I think that was so for GeoFly, that was a really good kickoff. Yeah. Into, you know, our conference is worth it. What I think I ended up deciding was that no, in that case, like it was a lot of hassle, and we gave a presentation, which was really cool. Looking back 4 years, not a single customer came from that conference. A lot of good contacts, but I wouldn't go to that conference again. You know, I was really able to evaluate it and determine that not something we're interested in.
Yeah, something else I'm thinking about, Kyle, as you're talking about choosing where you want to be, you know, maybe you have to choose between multiple trade shows because they are really expensive, or maybe they're, you know, on the same weekend but on different parts of the country. Yeah. Geofencing or targeting IP address of the conference can be a good way to make your brand present at a relevant location, even when you don't physically have a booth there. You might know that there are a lot of people that are really interested and thinking about your type of product, and you know that there's going to be thousands of them under one roof for 2 days.
Yep.
And so it might be worth spending some money to make your brand the one that pops up on some of the platforms that they're using. So even if you can't physically be there, that's a way to get your brand in front of a relevant audience.
Yeah, and a lot of conferences have Facebook groups.
Yeah.
Like attending this conference, and you can join those groups even if you might not be an attendee and just sort of listen into what the industry is saying.
Mm-hmm.
If we're talking about location, I think another component for us here in Montana, oftentimes we're tempted to say, let's go to a bigger city.
Right.
To the conference that is in Seattle or Portland or San Francisco. I think there's a lot of opportunity to sort of go the other direction, sort of take the contrarian approach. Like, let's go to North Dakota and let's go to the energy conference and just like see, are people talking about marketing?
Right.
Like instead of companies like Moz and Google and YouTube and Facebook, because everybody there is in marketing. Everybody there is in marketing. Everybody's sort of swimming in the same lane.
Yeah.
You go to a conference like Energy, and you're the only marketer there.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, they're talking about,
that's a good point.
Utility costs, but I'm sure there's people there that might be interested in, well, how can energy companies use the internet to promote themselves?
Mm-hmm.
And it's in North Dakota, so it's like it's not as loud as maybe a bigger city.
Yeah, for sure. Don't
mean to put down our North Dakota listeners.
Yeah, our neighbors.
Our neighbors to the east.
Far away.
That's it. So geofencing, geotargeting, IP targeting, really under the same umbrella, just using location to personalize a message.
Yeah.
In a lot of different ways. And if you're in business, you know that your customers are not the same.
Right.
Like they just are going to care about different things from different locations. If you have a business that worries about things like tax implications by state, even a travel company that's thinking about direct flights, stereotypes like, oh, those Montanans talk about North Dakotas this way. Maybe we should address them in a certain way on our website. So I just think, geotargeting is probably one of the most underutilized tools in marketing. I just saw a stat the other day. I forget where I saw it. I think it was conversionoptimizer.com, which is a fancy
sounds scammy
website.
Kyle.
It kind of does.
Just kidding.
But it seemed research backed, and it said that for every $92 spent on advertising, $1 was spent optimizing your existing website.
Wow.
So that means $92 in ads driving to a website that you've invested
only $1.
Only $1 sort of trying to make relevant for your users, appear higher in search results.
Wow.
That really struck me when we talk about traction channels as just a big opportunity for folks that are already getting traffic.
Yeah, to step it up.
Yeah,
Level up
look at your conversion rates.
Yeah.
Look at your forms. Look at your, look at your navigation. We just did that recently with GeoFly, and it's like we're seeing a few more leads coming in each day, which is kind of neat.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, so I think that overall geotargeting, geofencing, IP targeting, they're all kind of ways that you can enhance your other campaigns you're running, whether it is an online ad or your website, or you want to enhance your experience at a trade show.
Right.
So any of the traction channels we're talking about can most likely be enhanced by
I think you're right. I think it's the rising tide lifts all ships mentality here. Well, that feels like an episode for me.
Yeah.
Cool. Tune in. Don't forget to check out our YouTube channel.
Subscribe.
Michelle's putting together a screencast today for like the nuts and bolts of how to do this. So you should definitely check that out. And then we'll post an article about sort of the why geotargeting is important. This kind of covered the what and the why
and how it's worked for us.
And how it's
with
worked
some
for us.
real examples.
So check those out. Subscribe to us everywhere. Share with your friends. Tell everywhere.
Awesome.
Cool. Thanks, Cassie.
Yep. Thanks.